I want to talk today about the dark side of the dumb phone. Dun dun dun. Well, hey there, and welcome back to The Commonplace. My name is Autumn, and I am a dumb phone user. I actually have a whole series about this last year when I went dumb phone for life, or smartphone free. And I had these questions at the beginning, which basically could be categorized into two sets. The first was, are we cultivating a love of convenience so that we actually prefer machines to people? The answer is yes. And the second question was, are we cultivating the lie of old, that we are like God in ways that we are not? Primarily, we think we are omniscient, omnipresent, and omnipotent. Also yes. And I pretty much stopped talking about it kind of suddenly, if you really keep up with my YouTube videos. But it was just because I had said when people in my real life, my real sphere, actually got rid of their smartphones, I'd probably stop talking about it on the internet. And that's what happened. But a lot of you have been asking me, I'm just kidding, that's just what people say on the internet. Really, like 10 of you left some comments on my old videos over the last couple of weeks, couple of months to say, hey, did you keep with this? Did you keep going? Did you go back to the iPhone? What happened? And so I thought we would make partly an update video. It's been over a year without my iPhone, and also a dark side of the dumb phone video, because I like to talk about things from all angles. So first and foremost, did I stick with the dumb phone? I did, and honestly, you could not say anything about your iPhone, about its ease, its convenience, its speed, your capabilities, that would ever make me think about getting it again. I don't want it. I don't like it. I get really upset when I see people staring at them. I just want people to look up and problem solve and handle things in a humanizing way. But I've got a lot of videos talking about that, so we're not gonna go too deep in there. I just wanted to update that, yeah, I'm still on the dumb phone. I'm not, however, on the same flippy phone. So I am someone who thinks that when you want to try a new thing, you do not need to go buy the ideal version of the thing you want, like working out. You're gonna work out, you don't need to go buy new clothes, just put on your old tennis shoes and start running. And once you start running long enough, then you can buy new running clothes. That's kind of how I am as a person. So when I wanted to switch to a dumb phone, I just went to the store and bought the $20 version on my network, my plan, my AT&T. And that was fine. But as a phone, it was very poorly made. It was ugly, it was clunky. There was this pixelated little screen that would just like shout at my eyes when I opened it. It was not a good phone for what a phone even is. So I knew that I wanted to get a different one, and I told myself after a year I could buy the one I wanted, and so I did. So I'm not actually still on that exact same flippy phone, but my phone now only calls and only texts, so it does the same thing. And it's still a dumb phone. So I'm still with it, just not with that particular phone. But now to the more exciting thing I want to talk about today, the dark side of the dumb phone. And I bring this up because I think this principle can kind of go anywhere on the internet with women talking to each other and listening to each other. And what I mean by that is there is the danger always of the particular application of the principle. I feel like I should. The particular application of the principle basically is just one woman's take on how she is living out a principle. And the thing about principles or ideals is that they do look different in every person's unique life. You guys who are listening to me have different husbands and children and life circumstances than I have. So while we may all be trying to pursue the ideal of humanizing living, the things that are true, good, and beautiful, that nourish us mind, body, and spirit, we're all gonna do it a little bit differently. Sometimes I think we forget that on the internet. It does not have to look the same way to be the pursuit of the right thing. And I'm bringing this up today because I find in conversations with my real life people, and then also with the lovely group of women within Common House that I'm able to talk to regularly about these ideas, that there are a lot of things that come up that might make you pause before getting a dumb phone. And sometimes I hear in their words, or I see in their lives, this sense of failure over it, or this growing tension within their home, or all these different things that I think, no. When we pursue a good thing, it should not make unreasonable things happen. There should not be lives fraught with these negative things. You may have to do difficult things. I've talked about this with a dumb phone. When you have the dumb phone, some things in life might seem more difficult for a little while, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about relational discord or feelings of guilt and shame where there shouldn't be. And so I think the dumb phone is a great example of this. You will find many people ditching their smartphones today. It's kind of like the equivalent of back when I was in high school and the kind of morally superior families didn't have TVs. That was the thing back then. Then I would say maybe like 6 years ago, 7 years ago, the morally superior would say, well, I don't have social media. And now the thing is, I don't have a smartphone. And in some respects, people feel like, well, you're better than me. Like, you don't have the thing everyone has. You must be better than me about something. I'm still standing behind that, yes, the smartphone is bad, and I don't think it's helping people overall, and I think it is disordering our souls. And yes, that's dramatic, but that is actually what I think about it. If you watch my series, you'll see I answered those questions yes and yes, and neither of those yeses are good for persons. However, there's a need in this conversation for us to also acknowledge the principles behind this humanizing idea and how they could be applied with a smartphone. I don't want to be dishonest. This is a thing. So in Common House, in my real life friends, here's what I see. A couple of things. One, they're military family and they move all of the time. And a WhatsApp or a family text thread or something is the only way they can stay regularly connected to and engaged with faraway family and friends. Okay, that's a good thing. Staying in contact with your parents and your siblings in a text thread when you live over in like Asia because your husband goes there for work, that's a good thing. I'm gonna give that a point, yes. Another thing would be husbands having a preference on like, nope, I would like you to have the smartphone. You get lost everywhere you go. You take our kids into the woods all the time. I think it would be safer for you to have a smartphone. Valid. We're gonna give that one a point. Another one could be financial, like, hey, your iPhone is not paid off yet. I don't want it to be sitting in a closet and you go buy another new phone when we're still paying this one off. Valid. There are all these things that people have brought up in conversation in Common House where they're like, this is the thing happening in my house, so I'm not able to have the dumb phone I want. And I'll hear like these twinges of I can't have the good thing. And that's the dark side of the dumb phone or any particular, is when you think you can't have the good, humanizing, ideal, virtue, whatever it is, because you have something in your circumstances. And then you start fighting that thing. And that thing is not actually the issue, because guess what? I would be willing to make an argument that it is easier for me to have a dumb phone it's my oven. That it is easier for me to have a dumb phone than it is for someone to keep their iPhone but follow limitations they set for themselves. Yes, getting rid of the smartphone will cultivate certain muscles, certain characteristics in you that are very good, and I would say are, yes, you should pursue them if you want to, and there's nothing in your life keeping you from getting rid of your smartphone other than yourself. But to have a smartphone and to put limits on it, to set the timers, to take all the apps off, to knock it on your email, to not check social media, whatever it is, and keep those limitations, that cultivates a whole other muscle set. Temperance, self-control, ordered loves, all sorts of things that happen with a smartphone in tow. It is easier for me to have a phone that does not have email on it than it was for me to have a phone that could always have email on it if I just re-downloaded it just really fast because I have to check this thing for work and I need to see it and I only do it one time. And then what do you know? I'm checking my email on my phone all the time. So I just wanted to point out there are principles in this conversation. If you watch some of my old videos, there are still principles in there as well where you could apply them even if you have to, for whatever reason, keep a smartphone. I think it's a woman thing. I don't think it's a man thing as much, where we see something acted out in a particular way and we think, oh, that's the way I have to do it. That's the most humanizing way. And while ultimately in this, I hope you hear it, ultimately I'm saying, yes, the smartphone needs severe limitations or else I think it's disordering your soul and ruining your mind, or you just get rid of it entirely because it disorders your soul and it ruins your mind. I'm still going the same direction, but there are multiple paths there. And I just think sometimes we women need to hear that. We need to hear that just because Autumn Kern literally gave up the phone, but in your house that just wouldn't work, it'd cause all this friction or stress you out, or guess what, you actually know you really do need Google Maps, then there are other ways to do it. You're just gonna have to fight a different muscle set. You're gonna have to find them, you're gonna have to work them out, you have to use the principles in your unique situation. And I try usually to stay in philosophies and principles over here because I do think that is the most helpful thing to give anyone an idea in which they can work it out in their real life, in whatever season they are in, with the people they love, with the life they're building together, as we all move forward, hopefully, towards our telos, this point of existence, this excellence in all things, this glorifying God, enjoying Him, having communion with Him, living like a human. All these wonderful things are just gonna look a little bit different. So I'm still team dumb phone. I have the dumb phone, I love it. I'm not giving my kids smartphones, not gonna happen, because that's how it works in our family. But there is a dark side to the dumb phone, and it needs to be acknowledged. Either you get puffed up with your own self-righteousness, you feel guilty, and you have all this shame that isn't actually valid because you think you're not doing it the right way. You cause all this tension within your family. You break off ties with friends. I don't know, we could get crazy here. But the idea of the dumb phone really has principles about being a human and living like one. And so hopefully you're just a little bit encouraged that your circumstances are different than mine, and you have to figure out how to do this with a smartphone in tow. It can be done. And that is the dark side of the dumb phone.